driving investment and stimulating Sarawak's economy. Italy's landslide kills at least 7, and SABAH to set up BEGGARS Community Centre. Bringing you the eye on the news tonight, you're now with me, Shalcha Meto, and this is TVS Nightline. Sarawak's boutique airline aims to drive investment and stimulate the region's economic growth, said Premier Sarawak Dato' Padigi Tan Sri Abang Johari to Nopeng.
Sebab itu kerajaan negeri, kerajaan kita akan mewujudkan boutique airline, iaitu syarikat kapal terbang yang kecil lah, kita semua besar-besar, hanya yang dapat membawa pelabur kita ataupun pelancong kita dalam jangka flight 6 jam. Bermakna Hong Kong, Bali, Singapura, Bangkok dan juga the farthest east Japan. Selain daripada India lah. Dan ini kita ada model. Kita tidak mengikut model MAS. Kita tidak mengikut model Asia, kita ada model Sarawak sendiri bagaimana mewujudkan syarikat penerbangan kita. Dan model kita sebab dipunyai oleh Sarawak, kita not profit motivated, but as a facilitator for the tourists to come to Sarawak.
Previously, Abang Johari noted that with the existence of a boutique airline under the Hornbill Skyways will be a boon to other sectors, including the export of local agro products.
Bagi saya, ialah satu badan infrastruktur yang harus kita bina serupa dengan jalan raya. Jalan raya ni, you don't talk about return, tangible return, but you talk about the intangible benefit that you get from road construction, kena laluan.
He said this when officiating the Bumiputra Sarawak Entrepreneurship Chamber, DUBS, Kuching Branch Dinner on Sunday.
At least 7 people, including a newborn baby and 2 children, were killed on the southern Italian holiday island of Ischia after a landslide caused by torrential rain devastated a small town, an official said on Sunday. 5 people were still missing, Naples Prefect Claudio Palomba told a news conference. Dozens of emergency workers rushed to the island while rescue divers searched the waters off the coast. A wave of mud, debris and stones broke away from the island's highest mountain on Saturday and crashed down over houses and roads in and around town of Casamicula, Terme. Densely populated, Ischia is a volcanic island which lies some 30 kilometers from Naples. It draws visitors to its thermal baths and picturesque coastline. Episodes of heavy rainfall are becoming more common and more intense in the light of climate change, experts say, exacerbating hydrological risks in many parts of Italy. Statistics show Ischia has a large number of houses that were built illegally, putting inhabitants at permanent risk from flooding and earthquakes, which have often hit the hilly island over the past years. The fatal landslide has reignited political controversy over pardons for unlawful buildings granted in recent decades and the reluctance of some politicians to address the issue. SABAH will set up a temporary protection centre for child beggars seen and caught around the city by year-end. Chief Minister Dato' Sri Haji Noor said this was the first proactive step and a pilot project to solve and address the issue of children begging in the city and in other districts including Tawau, Sandakan and Lahad Datu. He said this was also in line with the 1989 Geneva Convention that protects children from exploitation and other matters, and the Children Act, where children were prohibited from begging and other negative activities that were detrimental to their welfare. Now on the line we have Amirul Mukminin reporting from Sabah.
Thank you, Cheryl. Today we're live from Kota Kinabalu, Sabah regarding about to Sabah to set up protection center to rescue child beggars around Kota Kinabalu. And today, Datuk Sri Haji Jinor, Chief Minister Sabah, and asking question by Datuk Iwan Benedict, saying that this is a negative impact on the state development, especially in the eyes of visitor and tourists who actually come to Sabah. And he also was responding to Kadabayan Assembly's Datuk Iwan Benedict question on the effort taken by the government to solve this matter at the State Legislative Assembly meeting here on Monday. The government say that these children were from the Palau community and they did not hold any identification documents. And he said also, the group usually live at the sea on the coastal area or on island in Sabah. With this pilot project plan, the first step is to take in children seen loitering and begging in the city, bringing them to the center and keep them for up 3 months. And the government also will provide basic living skill training, religious teaching, and other need basic knowledge to ensure that these children prepare to be back to their parents. Thank you, Cheryl. And always, good morning, evening, and good night.
And that was the insight from Amirul Mukminin from Sabah, and good night to you as well. Now moving on. Sarawak's plan to establish its own boutique airline was well received by a fellow of the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, Professor Dr. Madeline Burma. Though the idea is a popular one, the sustainability and viability of the business must be considered in order to ensure it lasts in the long term.
Mungkin perlu ada business model di mana sustainability ini yang kita selalu fikirkan ialah cross subsidi. Maknanya pasti ada orang yang perlu subsidize untuk memastikan bahawa penerbangan tersebut dapat beroperasi. Jangan dia beroperasi tetapi nanti kos dia terpaksa ditanggung oleh kerajaan.
She said this when contacted by TVS on Monday. On another development, Madeline said recipients of targeted subsidies should be identified more accurately so as to avoid errors, especially in efforts to aid the needy. She added that high subsidies provided by the government would strain the nation's financial.
Sekarang yang penting supaya kita mengenal pasti orang yang nak disasarkan. Jadi orang yang nak disasarkan itu ialah betul-betul mereka yang memerlukan subsidi tersebut. Nah, ini di sini timbulnya masalah. Bagaimana nak mengenal pasti golongan yang menerima? Sebab semua orang nak menerima. Okey, macam kita nak menerima bantuan. Dia nak menerima bantuan. Jadi akhirnya bagi saya yang penting ialah kerajaan perlu melakukan mengenal pasti dulu golongan yang betul-betul memerlukan subsidi. Sebab macam kita tengok bantuan, banyak bantuan yang disalurkan sebahagiannya itu berlakunya ketirisan. So begitu juga dari segi subsidi bersasar ni nak menyebutnya memang bunyinya sangat bunyinya populis ya. Ini adalah dasar yang bersifat populis dan mudah untuk disebut, tetapi sangat-sangat sukar untuk mengelakkan daripada melakukan subsidi tersebut.
Recently, when chairing a meeting of the National Action Council on Cost of Living, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the provision of subsidies to the people must be targeted in order to ensure that only those who really need them would receive them. Meanwhile, Dato' Padigi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tunapeng urged DUBS Kuching branch to open up opportunities for university students to join them through industrial training. As such, students can be trained in various workforce as interns at companies under DUBS supervision.
3 sektor yang saya percaya pihak Dewan boleh fokus dalam 3 ini. Jadi sebab itu saya nak buat cadangan. Kalau boleh, saudara-saudara tibakanlah untuk kemajuan saudara sendiri. Pertamanya, mesti ada ciri-ciri profesionalisme. Kita ada syarikat Selepas itu kita latih tenaga kerja. Sebab itu saya cadangkan supaya syarikat ini mempunyai sistem internship. Ambillah budak kita yang belajar di Unimas, di Swinburne, di ICAT, biarlah mereka menjadi your intern dalam syarikat sendiri. Dan mereka yang terpelajar. Umpama daripada IT, Swinburne is one of the best universities that provide IT personnel.
He further explained that focus should not only be on the workforce, but also in improving the three main sectors, mainly food safety and transformation of agricultural produce, services, specifically in medical tourism, as well as the construction sector.
Meanwhile, Abang Johari said the government is also allocating 100,000 ringgit to DUBS Kuching branch for the purchase of machinery equipment, specifically for the construction industry. He said this is to ensure that construction works are more efficient and more competitive.
Sebab saya dah beri kepada Persatuan Kontraktor Melayu dan mereka telah berjaya. Kalaulah kontraktor Melayu PKMM kepada Datuk Ismail dapat, saya percaya UBS Kuching pun dapat untuk melaksanakan. Dan untuk membeli traktor tersebut, GPS beri dengan kita. Kerja anak ingin kita. Dan kita ada stor kita pun, kita jagakannya. Dan whatever traktor ini, nak tukang gali lah, nak tukang apa, nak kecil dan nak besar. Saya beri kita $100,000. Kalau secukup, kita tambahlah kepada traktor tersebut yang boleh tak sewa dengan ahli kita yang mendapat projek.
Associations in the Mambong area could play the role of mediator or facilitator, not only for academic institutions, but also for skilled workforce trainers to meet the industry's demands. Therefore, Mambong Assemblyman Dr. Jerib Susil stressed the importance of such synergy to prepare SPM leavers for their tertiary education.
Dr. Jerib Susil said that through this cooperation, it becomes much easier to identify the fields students are interested in. He added the cooperation could also help introduce suitable universities for students to pursue their chosen studies. While speaking at a presentation of incentives to a total of 44 academic excellence students yesterday, he expressed hope that the incentives would show students that various parties are always rooting for their success. Therefore, he reminded the incentive recipients to set their goals and dreams to achieve success. At the same event, Dr. Jerib also announced an allocation of 50,000 ringgit for the Kuching Bia Association for them to carry out its annual activities next year. Meanwhile, Bia Association President Joseph Tau said the achievements by students in the Padawan area in education is improving year by year. He said it was the result of the commitment of various parties, including the Bia Association, with the full support of Dr. Jerib in an effort to improve the standard of education in the area. Joseph also expressed hope that giving incentives to outstanding students will further up their enthusiasm and motivation in their studies.
After 4 years of detailed research and assembly, the Matudaro Melanau Dictionary will publish its first copy next year. The History in the Making project was made successful by the Sarawak Malay Dictionary Construction Committee, which comprised the Pulau Bruit Graduate Association, Matu Graduate Association, Matudaro Sarike Melanau Association, and the Institute of Language and Literature Sarawak Branch, DBP.
Its committee chairman, Raduan Serap, said the manuscript will be handed over to DDP for editing, evaluation and publishing.
Kamus ini dirancang, ditubuhkan kerana kita melihat adanya kamus Melanau Muka sebelum itu kita melihat kamus IBAN telah diwujudkan lebih 11 tahun, 12 tahun sebelum itu. Ini kita lihat kamus Menamuka. Dan Persatuan Melanau Matu Daro, Melanau Serike dan Persatuan Graduan Matu bersama dengan Persatuan Kolaborate telah sepakat untuk menghasilkan kamus daerah Matu dan Daro. Tujuannya ialah supaya kita pun ada kamus sendiri untuk dijadikan rujukan.
He added that production of the 790 pages manuscript, which contains 5,138 basic words and 3,136 derivative words, has already started in 2019 and is finally completed in 2022.
Kita dalam menghasilkan kamus ini adalah kita dari kelompok Melanau daerah yang agak luar biasa. Tu maksud saya di Matu tu sendiri pun dah ada beberapa lenggok bahasa Melanau dia. Di Daro pun sama. Begitu juga dengan di Pulau Burit. Dan itulah cabaran kita semasa kita menghasilkan kamus. Kemudian semasa kita membuat entry, kita juga berhadapan dengan cabaran yang besar tu. Kerana kita terpaksa memanggil wakil-wakil dari Matu Daro untuk berkumpul kat Kuching.
At the same time, Radwan said the committee was also involved in fieldwork in accordance with the methodology of DPP.
Coming up right after the break, Malaysia-Brunei to boost bilateral ties, and small plane crash near Washington, D.C. caused mass outages. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Welcome back to the Nightline. Sarawak Energy's leadership in community development initiatives has been recognized with 2 gold awards at the 14th Annual Global CSR and ESG Summit Awards 2022 in Hanoi, Vietnam. Malaysia's largest renewable energy developer and Sarawak's primary power utility, Sarawak Energy was awarded gold under the Best Community Program Award category for its Empowering Safe and Resilient Indigenous Communities in Bakum program, and gold under the Empowerment of Women Award for its Empowering Indigenous Women Communities program. Commenting on the awards, Sarawak Energy Group Chief Executive Officer Dato Haji Sharbini Suhaili said Sarawak Energy will continue to be committed to embed sustainable practices into business and operations as a responsible renewable energy provider, as well as to advance the ambition of building a sustainable energy future for Sarawak and the region. He also added that the international recognition was made possible with the support and guidance of the Sarawak Government, the Ministry of Utility and Telecommunication, and the dedication of 5,400 SEB employees. Previously, Sarawak Energy has a track record of programs under their CSR programs. Among them includes Sarawak Energy's Penang Adult Literacy Program, which covers Murum and Baram, Handicraft Development Program for Socio-Economic Growth, and Heritage Preservation, mainly on indigenous crafts, and Entrepreneurship and Capacity Development, focusing on Women Entrepreneurship Program and upskilling. The Sultan of Brunei, Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah, in a surprise move, took over the wheel of the official vehicle and drove Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar to Seri Perdana Putrajaya in his special visit to Malaysia on Monday. Earlier at about 11:45 a.m., Anwar, who was seated in the front passenger of the limousine, was seen waving to media practitioners. Also seated in the vehicle was the son of the Sultan, Pangeran Muda Abdul Matin Bolkiah. The vehicle made its way to Putrajaya from the Royal Malaysian Air Force RMAF base in Subang, about 41 kilometers away, while being escorted by a team of outriders and security vehicles. Earlier, Anwar was on hand to receive the arrival of Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah, as well as a delegation from Brunei at the RMAF base in Subang at 11:40 a.m. Moments upon arrival, the Sultan inspected a guard of honour mounted by the Malaysian Army, led by Major Muhammad Fauzi Che Hasim. Also greeting the Sultan was the Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali. The Sultan's visit to Malaysia was his first meeting with Anwar as the 10th Prime Minister of Malaysia. Malaysia and Brunei have a long special relationship via common heritage and culture, as well as the people's ties. Malaysia and Brunei Darussalam will assess the progress of existing cooperation while exploring new potentials to improve relations and cooperation that can benefit both countries. The meeting also aims to explore the potential for enhancing bilateral relationship and cooperation for their mutual benefit. Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah is the first foreign leader to meet Anwar after his appointment as the 10th Prime Minister of Malaysia on November 24. Sultan Hassan's last visit to Kuala Lumpur was between March 4 to 6, 2019, when he attended the 22nd Annual Leaders Consultation between Malaysia and Brunei Darussalam. Brunei Darussalam is Malaysia's 30th largest trading partner in 2021. The sixth largest in ASEAN, with total trade amounting to 8.03 billion ringgit or US dollars 1.94 billion ringgit. 6 passengers of an express bus were injured early today when the bus rammed into the rear of a trailer at kilometre 179.2 of the North-South Expressway heading north in Jasin, Malacca.
Jasin Bestari Fire and Rescue Operation BBP Operations Officer, Senior Fire Officer 2 Asman Muhammad Dawam, in a statement today said the station received an emergency call at 3:57 a.m. and a team comprising 17 personnel from the Jasin Bestari and Tangkak BBPS was sent to the location, arriving there 13 minutes later. Meanwhile, Jasin District Police Chief DSP Mispani Hamdan said all the victims were Singaporeans and that the express bus was on its way to Kuala Lumpur. He added the express bus driver, aged 42, was believed to have lost control of the wheel, causing the bus to crash into the rear of the trailer.
The Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia, has issued a warning of thunderstorms and rain in several places in the peninsula, Sarawak and Sabah, for 3 days starting today. Met Malaysia, in a statement on Monday, November 28, stated that thunderstorms are expected this afternoon in several areas throughout the peninsula, Sarawak and Sabah, interior's west coast and Sandakan. In the evening, thunderstorms are expected to hit 1 or 2 places in Perlis, Kedah, Penang, Pahang, Sabah, interiors and Labuan. Thunderstorms are also expected tomorrow morning in Sabah, Sandakan and Kudat, as well as rain in several places in Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, Selangor, Pahang, Penang, Negeri Sembilan, and some areas in Sarawak. On Tuesday afternoon, thunderstorms are expected to hit the entire peninsula and some areas in Sarawak and Sabah. Meanwhile, in the districts of Kuching, Serian, Samarahan, Sri Aman, Betong, Sarike, Sibu, Kapit and Bintulu in Sarawak and Sabah, rain is expected tomorrow night. On Wednesday, Met Malaysia expects thunderstorms in 1 or 2 places in Tawau, Sabah, and rain in some areas in Sandakan and Kudat, Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, coastal areas of Penang, and the interior areas of Johor. Thank you for staying with me. And now on to our world affairs. Hundreds of demonstrators and police clashed in Shanghai on Sunday night as protests over China's stringent COVID restrictions flared for a third day. The protests spread to several cities in the wake of a deadly fire in the country's far west.
The wave of civil disobedience is unprecedented in mainland China since President Xi Jinping assumed power a decade ago. Frustrations are mounting over his signature zero-COVID policy nearly 3 years into the pandemic, exacting a heavy toll on the country's economy. Protesters took to the streets in the cities of Wuhan and Chengdu on Sunday, while university students gathered to protest in campuses over the weekend. In the early hours of Monday in Beijing, 2 groups of protesters, totally at least 1,000 people, were gathered along the Third Ring Road, refusing to disperse. Meanwhile, a fire at a residential high-rise building in the city of Urumqi triggered protests after videos of the incident posted on social media led to accusation that lockdowns were a factor in the blaze that killed 10 people. Urumqi officials abruptly held a news conference to deny the COVID measures had hampered escape and rescue efforts. On Sunday in Shanghai, police kept a heavy presence on Wulimuchi Road, where a candlelight vigil the day before turned into protests. By Sunday evening, hundreds of people gathered in the area, some jostled with police trying to disperse them, while some held up blank sheets of paper as an expression of protests. A witness saw police escorting people onto a bus, which was later driven away through the crowd with a few dozen people on board. Meanwhile, in the central city of Wuhan, videos of social media showed hundreds of residents take to the streets, smashing through metal barricades and overturning COVID testing tents. Other cities that have seen public dissent include Lanzhou in the northwest, where residents on Saturday overturned COVID staff tents and smashed testing booths. China has stuck with C0's COVID policy, even as much of the world has lifted most restriction. While low by global standards, China's case numbers have hit record highs for days, with nearly 40,000 new infections on Saturday, prompting yet more lockdowns in cities across the country.
That's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Shel Shamato. Thank you for watching.